Oh boy, welcome to Health, Wealth, and Happiness Mastery Training, Season 6, Session 6. This game-changing training has been my focus for the last, 6 weeks, primarily the last 4 weeks, spending 10, 15 hours a week, just seeing the potential of how this can help in two ways. And in the context for what we're going to cover today, this beauty, health, wealth, and happiness, really amplifying health, wealth, and happiness in our lives through the power of technology. So before we get started on any of this, just want to share with you that we think about, in my life span, when I was 5 years old, I played Pong, which is the black and white little square that was moving back and forth across the spectrum on a big tube TV with these weird controllers. And then we've come to today's world where we are literally able to talk with something that's been trained to have real conversation and write copy, content. We think about this a lot in the world of the business side of things. Psychologically tweaked titles, pattern interrupts if you want to think of them that way, that are using best practices inside of minutes instead of hours. And that's what's happened in my lifespan. I play a couple video games, one of them, Battlefield 2042. We play that a lot, put in lots of hours into that beauty. And it's so amazing to me to think I've been through all the evolution of video games and how incredibly real, detail-oriented, and we're just so blessed to be in this time. So first and foremost, I just want to say thank you so incredibly much for being here, being on this journey with me, seeing the evolution of technology. Think about the lens of civilization over the last tens of hundreds of years. And then in the last 100 years, a smidge in the big picture of the scheme of the universe, we have evolved things very quickly. Part of today's work may scare you. It scared me. Still a little, whoa, where's this going? Recognizing that what we're going to cover today is ChatGPT. If you haven't heard of it, it's an AI model, and I'll give you the definition of it in just a minute. And it is in version 3. And they're dedicating a lot more resource, time, energy, and effort and evolution into version 4, which should appear in the next year. And it's insane what it's doing right now. So the goal set today, our clear outcomes, are how can we leverage today's tech, specifically AI, artificial intelligence, to move forward and enhance our lives. And I think you're going to be, I'm getting chills just telling you this, because I think you're going to be really blown away with what we're going to show. So I've left up a lot of the visioning work I've been doing, getting into, as the recording of this, 2023. So whether you're watching this, live or on our YouTube premiere, or whether you're watching this 2024 or 25, here's the scoop. The application for what we're going to cover today applies across the spectrum. Our focus, as we think about things through the lens of high performance and through the lens of the way I teach, is to be clear about the outcomes that we want to have in life, to put a lot of time, energy, and effort into our yeses and our outcomes in life, and then bring that back to what we need to do at an output level to behaviorally put those habits, routines, whatever that would be, in play to get to the outcomes. But the part that I missed up until high performance came into my life in 2011 was how I wanted to feel as I was doing the things that resulted in the outcome. Does that make sense? I call that FOO, feelings, outputs, outcomes. And we got to be clear on the outcomes and then kind of peel back who we need to be, what we need to do to behaviorally step into the outcomes, what we need to do on the daily, what we need to do on the weekly, how we need to assess maybe on the monthly, quarterly, yearly to get to the outcomes, and how we want to feel as we go through that process. A big part of today's work with this beautiful AI interface will be talking this out and getting ideas, bringing in newness and novelty. Another way of thinking about the outcomes, if you bring it into the year realm, and as of the recording of this in our mastery community, we're in January of 2023, and we're going through and really working on how we want this year to show up. And one of the best ways to do it is, sometimes it's called the Merlin effect. It's where we think about the end of the year, December 31st of 2023. What are the goals, objectives, outcomes that we really want, achievements that we really want to go after? And how do we reverse engineer them to now? And I'm loving where this is going, because you're going to sense when you see how ChatGPT can take us from where we're at to where we want to be faster than even we can think about. It's pretty amazing how it's an ambition spark, so to speak. And then what we're going to do in our work today is we're going to really challenge the AI, and I'll get into what that means in just a minute, as I mentioned, to think through the lens of what we call in high performance the life arenas. They're a little bit updated from what they have traditionally been if you've been in our high performance coaching program, but these are the life arenas, and I'm going to make sure you can see that. I think you should be able to see them all. I'll put this down actually for the moment. That should give us yep, there we go. So we have health, our general health, our mental and emotional health, partner, love is another life arena, family, friends, our mission, which is typically the work we do in the world that we get compensated for, our contribution, typically work we do in the world or time, energy, and effort that we spend that isn't a direct result of compensation per se, but it's something we enjoy doing, like volunteering. Our spirit, connection to source is how some think of this. Religion is another way of connecting to spirit. Our finances, our learning goals, you're going to love where we're going with that today. And then experiences, fun, freedom, and adventure. The bigger picture, of course, through the lens of high performance, is whether it's, for me, of benefit to the others, other people on the planet, or the world as a whole. And I always think about the world as like, subtract the humans, is this better for the world? The health of the trees, and the health of the animals, and the health of plants, and these kind of things. Does that make sense? So kind of painting that broad spectrum as we think about application for this beautiful AI into the world of us experiencing, enhancing our lives. Is that helpful? That's kind of the big picture part I wanted to make sure we covered today. That said, what I really want you to think about are specific areas where you really want to challenge yourself to be better, do better, enhance yourself. And maybe these life arenas are part of that equation for you. You know what? I really do want to have some practices for better health to go after that. Well, that being said, this ends the big picture part of our training today. Let's go ahead and dive into the training itself. It's going to be beefy, awesome. Thank you so incredibly much for being here. This is really exciting for me. And one of the reasons it's really exciting is because I've gone through and met with, coached over the last 3 weeks, around 30 people. And in some of those conversations, I've just piqued people's interest, or we've spent considerable time here in the studio going through the application of ChatGPT in their business. And we'll talk a lot about that in our next session. Mind-blowing. Creating content, getting, this is mind-blowing to me, having it create best practice titles for things that actually pique people's interest above and beyond what we think piques people's interest. This is like the world's knowledge coming back to us and saying, hey, here's the things that actually work. And you don't have to pay anybody for that. It's like, what? So these are some of the aspects of things that have happened over the last weeks, but every one of them have shared, Char, I cannot wait for you to do a training on this because I'm going to dive deep with it and I'm going to explore and get into this interface and see exactly what that is. That being said, let's go ahead and define what ChatGPT is. And I'll make sure in the replay of this and in our course where I put the modules in Kajabi that we have these links as well. So what is ChatGPT? First of all, chat, obviously chatting. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. That sounds pretty complicated, right? But what basically is, it's a chat bot. Now what's a chat bot? And I'm just reading the definition here. It's a software application used to conduct online chat conversation via text or text-to-speech in lieu of providing direct contact with a live human agent, designed to convincingly simulate the way a human would behave as a conversational partner. And when you see the way that ChatGPT does what it does, I was blown away, absolutely blown away. And I've been using AI, other forms of AI like Jasper and these other tools. I'll make sure to link to those below as well. This one just takes the cake. So the version that we're using is ChatGPT 3. And it was launched by a company, OpenAI, in November of 2022. So as of the recording of this, 2 months ago, essentially. One thing that I want you to note is that Microsoft has invested, and I think the quote is, and you may want to confirm this, it's like $1 billion into the OpenAI project. And they're looking over the next few months to interface ChatGPT into Bing search. So Bing is like Google, it's a search engine, and now they're looking to interface ChatGPT into it. And when you see the power of what it does, that alone gives me chills and blows my mind because it's like a whole new, and we'll talk a lot about the SEO ramifications of this, search engine optimization ramifications of this in our next session. But that alone is incredible through that lens. It's built on top of OpenAI's GPT-3 family of large language models, and is fine-tuned with both supervised and reinforced learning techniques. So breaking that down, it simply means that this system is stimulus response, and it's got millions of characters of data in it, words and so on, that formulate this model, and then it has a way of responding that sounds very human-like, but it is not a human. How do you feel about that? I'm going through all sort of like philosophical and like ethical thing, like, wait a minute, back up a minute. So it can talk to me like a human and then write content that's better than the average human, and then write titles for things that's better than the average human. They're not sort of blessed in this Frank Kern kind of style of writing for getting people's attention and using best practices with what we teach is the persuasion model, struggle, challenge, frustration, these kind of things. So we just want to be clear about where we stand with AI and what the application uses are for it, and where you stand at the philosophical level, at the ethical level, morality level with this. It hits on a lot of these notes, right? So we just want to be clear about, okay, get it. I kind of compartmentalize it as its own engine, and I'm just intrigued and in joyful curiosity with what it can do. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and change the screen over to my laptop, and we're going to get right to work because we got a lot to cover. So when we get into ChatGPT, I'm going to turn this a little bit this way so we can see this and see you. See your beautiful face. When we get into ChatGPT, this is the first thing that comes up. It's a free research preview. Our goal is to get external feedback in order to improve our systems and make them safer. While we have safeguards in place, the system may occasionally generate incorrect or misleading information, producing offensive and biased content. It's not intended to give advice. So how we collect data, conversations may be reviewed by our AI trainers to improve our systems. Please don't share your sensitive information in your conversations. And we love your feedback. The system is optimized for dialogue. Let us know if a particular response was good or unhelpful. And there's a way to do that. Anytime it responds, there's a thumbs up or thumbs down, and that kind of informs the AI whether this was helpful or way off base or mildly off base, something like that. And they do have what's called a Discord server, which is an online kind of community where you can share feedback there if you want to do that. So once we're in, right now it does show this message. We're experiencing exceptionally high demand. Please hang tight as we work on scaling our systems. So one thing that I want you to be clear about is that on the left panel of ChatGPT, there's a way to do a new chat. Inside a chat, we'll think of that as like a thread. It knows what it said up above in the chat. Like if you ask it to do something and it creates content and you reference that content in that thread, it knows about it. So let's just get right in and give a quick example. And let's go ahead and say, for example, the premise of our work today is health, wealth, and happiness, right? Give me 3 ways to live more healthy. And then ChatGPT takes its time and responds. Eating a balanced diet that includes a variety of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats that help you maintain a healthy weight, reduce chronic. Regular physical activity can improve your overall health and reduce risk of chronic diseases. Aim for 30 minutes of moderately intense aerobic activity, brisk walking, cycling most days of the week. Getting enough sleep is important. Cool. Now we can say, this is the part that blows my mind, because think about this from a content creation perspective. We'll talk a lot about this in business. Summarize what you've shared in 50 words. Takes a moment, thinks about it. We've got it really thinking here. It's interesting that the thread it defined is live healthy ways. 3 ways to live a healthy life. Eat a balanced diet, exercise regularly, and get enough sleep. These can help maintain a healthy weight and reduce risk of chronic diseases. So it just developed that. Does that make sense? Now, let's take it even further. Translate the summary into German. Sir Lucas of House Kramer. Hopefully this is good grammatically, but this is all being generated real time. And I'm not even going to try, even though I did take a lot of German in high school and 2 years in college. I'm not even going to try to read that because I'll butcher it. That's the essence of what's happening with AI and tech today. ChatGPT is this model that goes nuts with this. Does that all make sense? So we just had it generate 3 ideas for living healthy, on point as far as we know from the high performance lens. We had it summarize it in 50 words, and we had it translate it into German. Now we could say, give me 5 related hashtags. This is incredibly important. We'll talk more about this in our business work for content creation, in terms of if you're a content creator and you're looking for ideas and hashtags that are trending. Boom. Healthy living, fitness, motivation, nutrition, healthy eating, wellness. Right out of the gate. Kicking it out of the park. Cool? So let's take another look through this lens and say, can you provide me 10 ideas for creating wealth? Remember, health, wealth, and happiness. And let it move down here. And boom, investing in stocks, bonds, and real estate, starting a small business, saving money, living frugally, building a diverse portfolio of income, generating assets. Okay. Can you provide me 5 ways to live my happiest life? Let me make sure that I'm out of the way of the screen there. And let's see what it has to say. Cultivate gratitude by regularly expressing appreciation for what you have in your life. Isn't that one of the big things we teach in high performance? As a matter of fact, in the 9 elements of influence, as we teach it in persuasion mastery, the first thing is essentially be honoring, be grateful. Practice mindfulness by focusing on the present moment. Connect with others through strong relationships. Prioritize self-care by taking your physical, mental, emotional well-being, taking care of yourself. Set and work towards achieving meaningful personal goals that align with your values and passions. Kind of talked about that over here. So all we've done thus far is we've taken the premise of our work, health, wealth, and happiness, and had it generate options. Isn't that the essence of the coaching process? When you think about being coached by somebody, especially in high performance, our job isn't to solve for you, it's to generate options for you. Does that make sense? So what I'd love to do as we think this through is demonstrate the power of ChatGPT while enhancing, amplifying the quality of your life. That's the essence of today's training's topic, right? How to use AI, artificial intelligence, to enhance the quality of your life. So let's go through the life arenas, and I'm going to give you specific prompts, and you can try them on your own because it'll generate a unique response when you try it. We've tested for that, and it's generating kind of responses as it thinks of things, which is mind-blowing if you can think of it that way. So what I'd love to do is walk through these arenas and generate prompts that will inherently help you amplify the quality of your life. So one of the first prompts I said, and this goes into what we teach in high performance as controlling for newness and novelty, is this prompt of generate me a workout that's specifically for my upper body. This is in the lens of health, that I can do within 20 minutes. Does that make sense? It's so exciting. So let's go ahead and tell ChatGPT, can you create a 20-minute workout for me that focuses on my upper body? And then we let it do its magic. So the essence of it is we're hitting the health button and we're trying to get some variety. Like a great friend of mine, Nick, and my other great friend, Don, they commonly get a whiteboard in there where they work out. They do a lot of training and working out. And they'll just write up randomly, I'm going to do 10 burpees, 20 jumping jacks, and that kind of thing. And so ChatGPT, here it goes. And this is, by the way, completely different than what it generated for me the first time I entered that prompt. Warm up, 3 minutes. 10 jumping jacks, 10 arm circles, 10 shoulder rolls. Exercise 1, 3 minutes, push-ups. Rest for 30 seconds. Push-ups, 15 reps. Rest for 30 seconds. Exercise 2, dumbbell bicep curls. Rest for 30 seconds. Rest for 30 seconds. Exercise 3, tricep extensions. Same story, rest in between. Exercise 4, dumbbell rows. Exercise 5, dumbbell overhead press. Cool down, arm stretches and shoulder stretches. Now notice it's also helping us frame this properly. It's important to use appropriate weight that allows you to complete the exercise with good form, rest time that can be adjusted based on your fitness level, and it's always recommended to check with a doctor before you're starting any new routine. Okay, that was amazing. So now let's think of it through the lens of health in terms of what we're eating, the nutrition aspect of things. Now, let me pre-frame this prompt that I'm going to ask it through the lens of what I've discovered in my high performance journey as a way to really amplify what I would classify as a lean, clean energy. And it's by eating alkaline-based instead of acidic-based. So if you're not familiar with what those terms mean, alkaline-based is alkaline foods like vegetables specifically. Acidic-based is pretty much anything sugar-based. Even fruits have acidic qualities to them, some more than others. The concept is I want ChatGPT to recommend a alkaline-based menu for 1 week with 3 meals a day. So the presumption is it's going to know what alkaline-based is, right? So let's give it a go and see what it says. Can you create an alkaline, if I can spell it, alkaline-based menu, 3 meals per day? Let's see what it does. Give it a minute here. This is so exciting. Here's the example of an alkaline-based menu with 3 meals per day. Breakfast. And by the way, this already is completely different than what it generated for me yesterday when I tested some of this stuff out. 1 cup of spinach, 1 banana, almond milk, blueberries, avocado, a handful of mint leaves for breakfast with a whole grain toast with avocado and tomato. Lunch, quinoa, salad. It gives you like the recipe. Grilled chicken breast or fish. Dinner, grilled vegetables. Grilled variety of vegetables such as bell peppers, eggplant, zucchini, mushroom. Serve with a side of brown rice and a squeeze of lemon juice. Talk about generating for random. Now it's giving you snacks. So you want to be careful on that, but it's pretty much on point. Almonds, so on. Is only an example and is always recommended to consult a dietitian for a personalized plan. Okay. Cool. How did it do? I think it crushed it. Now let's take that idea. Can you create a weekly menu from the list above? Let's just see what it does with that. This is so awesome. Sure, here's an example of a weekly menu based on alkaline-based meals that I provided earlier. And that's what I'm getting at as we think about the thread of this, meaning that inside this thread, on the left side, Live Healthy Ways is the name of this thread. It's referencing stuff above it in forwarding the conversation, like it's remembering it. Does that make sense? So now it's giving you, instead of the specifics of these things, it's giving you the overarch, right? It's not giving you like, put this amount of quinoa in this or this amount of that. It's just an overview, but it's a randomized menu. And we go up through it. It is on point. Like, on point. Really, really powerful. And then it gives you some snacks. Feel free to switch up the meals and make your own variations. Make sure that you're getting a balance of different types of foods. Always check with a dietitian for a personal plan that takes into account any dietary restrictions or allergies. Okay, now, can you create a grocery list? Grocery list for me of the menu above. From the menu above, we'll say. Sure. This is awesome. Here's a grocery list based on the alkaline menu I provided earlier. And boom, it's going to town on providing you a grocery list. What? Insane. Yeah, okay. There will be a time, and I have to say it's going to be sooner rather than later, where if you're familiar with like the Target app on your phone or the Walmart app, I think even Whole Foods has this now, where when you look up items, you can say, I need to find quinoa, and it'll tell you the aisle and the part of the aisle that it's in. And sometimes it shows you on a map in the app. Does that make sense? So you can say, now show me where these items are inside my local Target. And you may have to qualify the address of the Target or whatever it would be. And that I tried it on here and it didn't work out because it doesn't know that connection yet. But that's coming. Isn't that insane? And then of course you could say, can you go ahead and fire up, Shipt, which is Publix, is a grocery store. Can you go ahead and fire up Shipt to have them bring me those ingredients? And it would interface, hopefully, with Shipt that way. How are you feeling about this so far? Pretty amazing. All we've covered so far is health through the lens of a randomized exercise, focusing on upper body, 20 minutes. And then we focused on develop an alkaline-based menu because we know, well, I know, and I hope you know, that eating alkaline really helps reduce bloat typically, but it also helps you the way I describe it is a lean, clean energy. And it not only created a daily idea for 3 meals and snacks, but then it folded it into a weekly menu, like an exact layout for the whole week. And then we created a grocery list from it. See, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg with what's possible here. So think about this, and we'll talk more about this in our business work, but through the content creation aspect. Could we create an ebook? Here's an example menu of an alkaline-based diet for a week. And put that in a nice package, in a PDF downloadable with a nice cover on it, and make that an ebook. And how much time did we just save? We literally did that in under 5 minutes, like from front to back. We went through and had to develop a daily thing with even quantities of things in it, to a weekly idea, and then a grocery list for it. Instant content through the lens of this model. And we're only touching the tip of the iceberg. You feeling this? It's so, so powerful. So let's move across the outcome that we're hoping to achieve from today's training is to enhance the quality of your life through artificial intelligence. I think so far we've done a really good job of that. I hope you agree. Next, let's talk about mental and emotional. And so here's some of the things we know. So often we really need to prime our mind, especially in the front end of the day, because I don't know about you, but in my family, there's a lot of, especially my mom's side, there's a lot of mental illness and depression. My cousin, who's basically my mom's cousin, depression and suicide, and then he ended up killing himself in, I think it was in 2008. And it was just the depression and thoughts and everything overcame him. And rest in peace, Gene, he was an amazing guy. But the concept here is that if we're going to have GPT help us psychologically, one of the things that we talk a lot about in high performance is give me some ideas of things to think about or journal to that would help me prime my day positively. So let's go ahead and ask it. Can you provide me 3 questions to journal to that will start my day positively? So the prompt I'm giving it, can you provide me 3 questions to journal to that will start my day positively? And let's see what it says. Sure, here are this is this 3 journaling prompts that you can use to start your day positively. What am I grateful for today? It's exactly where we start in high performance. This prompt encourages you to focus on the positive things in your life and start your day with a sense of appreciation. What are my intentions today? This prompt helps you set a positive and productive mindset for the day by focusing on your goals and priorities. What are 3 things I can do to make myself happy today? This encourages you to focus on self-care, prioritize your own happiness and well-being. It could be something as simple as taking a walk, reading a book, having a nice cup of tea, or in this case, a cup of delicious coffee, organic coffee. Remember, this is the aspect of ChatGPT that I am blown away with because it hits on the notes of transformation and transformation. And we teach that as part of the teachable content pyramid. That's what this is. Remember that journaling is a personal experience, so you can make your own variations of prompts or add your own based on what feels meaningful to you. So it knows the psychology of this to a degree, and it's empowering you to make it yours. Like beyond what a program would do, it's really talking to you in a way that glides you into this. Does that make sense? So randomized, right? So we could ask it again, can you give me 3 more journaling prompts? Can you give me 10 quotes that would inspire me? So let's go ahead and give that a try. Can you provide 10 positive mindset quotes that are inspiring. By the way, this is great for content creators. If we're looking for making quote cards, why not? So it's leveraging its quote library, essentially. Positive anything is better than negative nothing. Albert Hubbard. The only way to do great work is love what you do. Positive thinking will let you do everything better than negative thinking will. There you go. So this is really, really critical around mental and emotional. Is this helpful? This making sense? These quotes are meant to inspire and motivate you to adopt a positive mindset, but it's important to remember it takes time and effort to change your thought patterns. You can choose the one that resonates with you the most and keep it as a close reminder. So good. So let's talk about emotions. This idea of, can you tell me how to create positive emotions when I'm feeling negative? And let's just see what it says. Again, amplifying the quality of our life. It can be challenging. There are several strategies you can try. It goes back to practicing gratitude. Reflect on the things you're grateful for in life. It can be small things like a warm cup of coffee. Big things like having a loving family. Engage in physical activity. Exercise has been shown to improve your mood. Practice mindfulness. Connect with others. It's so good. Help others. Do something you enjoy. Engage in activity that brings you pleasure, whether it's reading a book, listening to music, drawing. Reframe negative thoughts. Challenge negative thoughts by questioning their validity, looking for evidence to the contrary. Practice positive affirmations. I can handle this. Remember that it's normal to have negative emotions and that it takes time to change your thought patterns. Be patient with yourself. Keep practicing these strategies. Again, if you're a content creator, here's a great way to think this through, or at least start the idea. So let's forward this a little further and ask it, please write a 500 word, not page, blog post about positive emotion and inspiring others. And then boom, there it goes. What I really want to make sure you're seeing here is that we can hit some of the highlights through give me a list kind of things, but then we can go deep for it to really flesh out ideas and give it a 500 word blog post limit, for example, and it writes it out. The beauty of that, and this we'll cover even in more detail in our business session, is that we can go through and have it summarize the post, bullet the post, so that we can leverage the baby version of it maybe on the summary part of a social media post and say, read the entire post by clicking here, or summarize it and then click here to download this. It might require an email address. Just kind of moving a little bit into the business space there. This is the idea of it. So we've got quite a beefy creation, looking really good so far in terms of what it's providing. I love this. It could be something as simple as opening the door for somebody. Doing something we enjoy is an effective way to create positive emotions. Engage in your pleasure, reading a book, listening to music, drawing. And then what we can have it do is summarize the blog post, in 50 words. And maybe we'll say summarize and bullet the blog post in, I'll give it 75 words and just see what it says there. Still writing. Finally, in conclusion, grammar here is amazing. And don't forget the power of inspiring others, which is exactly what's going on right now, I hope, for you. By sharing our positive, we can inspire others as well. Okay, so it pretty much just cut off there. Let's just see what it says here. Summarize and bullet the blog post in 75 words. Boom! Done! So that's what I'm talking about as well. Just another illustration of how this thread here is remembered when you ask it and request it to do something with that information. Does that make sense? This is the magic of this. And again, we can ask it, create hashtags for the summary. See what it does with that. Positive emotions, well-being, happiness, gratitude, mindfulness, self-care, and inspiration, affirmation, motivation. Positive thoughts. Done. What I also wanted to make sure of, and I hadn't mentioned this before, this up, thumbs up and thumbs down, that helps it inform whether this is helpful content. So if I'm doing this for myself instead of for a demonstration for you, I'm up-leveling these kind of things. So let's move on to the next area here with partner and love. And the prompt that I'm thinking of is, can you share 7 awesome ideas for creating an amazing experience for my lovely wife, my loving wife. Can you share 7 awesome ideas for creating an amazing experience for my loving wife? And we're going to let it go to town on that. And the thing that I want to introduce in this part of our prompts is how we can have it generate content and then filter it through a mentor or an author. And this is mind-blowing. So it's already coming up with plan a surprise weekend getaway, create a homemade spa day, cook her a special dinner, write her a heartfelt letter expressing your love and appreciation for her, tell her how much you mean, plan a surprise party for her with her friends and family, could be for a birthday or any other special occasion, create a romantic scavenger hunt, create a romantic hunt leading to special places that have meaning for both of you, plan a special date night. So what I want to make sure that we capture here is there's the book, and I don't know if you've read it, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Keller. And in Gary Keller's book, he talks about these 5 love languages that people typically are dominant in one of them. Acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, these kind of things. So let's say, can you summarize the above list through the 5 love languages and see what it does with that? So the pre-qualification here is that it knows about the love languages. Here's a summary, and get this is mind-blowing to me. It says quality time, plan a surprise weekend getaway, special date night, tailored to her interests, acts of service, create a homemade day spa, words of affirmation, write her a heartfelt letter, physical touch, give her a massage. This is amazing. Giving and receiving gifts, plan a surprise weekend getaway to a destination she's always wanted to visit. It's important to note everyone has different love languages. These ideas may not resonate with everybody. It's a good idea to have an open conversation with her, right? But what makes her feel loved and appreciated? So if you've done the 5 love languages quiz to sense in advance, like maybe hers is quality time, right? Then you could say things to the prompt like, can you give me 5 ideas around the love language of quality time to provide great experience for my significant other? So what I'm really trying to assure that you're getting here is that a big part of high performance work that we do in the lens of high performance coaching is this idea of newness and novelty in creating options. I often say my purpose, and the do part of my purpose statement is to help you from where you're at to where you want to be, but by the word be is an asterisk, and that asterisk simply signifies that most people don't dream big enough anymore. They're not dreaming about where they want to be. They're just trying to handle the day-to-day. And part of the drive for the be is to create options. And ChatGPT is a great options creator and a framer for that. And then you can dive into it through the lens of your perspective, maybe through the lens, because I love the book, The 5 Love Languages, through the lens of that. Does that make sense? So that's the partner and love aspect. I just wanted to kind of shoot the arrow across the bow here for you and really get some framing for that. Let's move on to family and friends. Can you recommend 3 ways to create an amazing experience for my friends and family? Sure, here are 3 ways to create an amazing experience for your friends and family. So it's giving you some basics, right? Let's say that you have a brother that is single, that's looking to find a really amazing woman. And I may or may not have that exact scenario, and I do, by the way. So we're going to give it a prompt. Can you provide ideas for helping my amazing brother find a wonderful girlfriend in Atlanta, Georgia? So we've given it context for an area now. Sure, here are a few ideas for helping your brother find a wonderful girlfriend in Atlanta. Encourage him to try online dating. Create a profile on a reputable dating website. Introduce him to friends and family. Introduce your brother to friends and family who are single, or you may know somebody who would be a good match for him. Encourage him to join a social group based on his interests. This can be a great way for him to meet new people who share similar interests. Attend networking events. Encourage him to attend networking events in Atlanta. It's a great way to meet new people from different backgrounds and industries. Encourage your brother to volunteer. This is a great way of giving back to the community. We've talked a bit about that. Suggest to take a class to meet new people. Encourage him to be open-minded. Encourage your brother to be open-minded, not too specific of an idea of what he is looking for in a partner. Sometimes the best relationships come from unexpected places. There you go. That's the magic of this. So often when we think about, I'm not thinking of options. Like high performers in general are thinking along these lines, but a lot of times we're in a day-to-day and we're like, darn it, my brain isn't fired up to think about solutions and options. This is a tool for that. Okay, let's move on to mission. And we think about how can we contribute greatly to the world and get compensated. So we could ask it prompts like, what are 5 jobs that have this particular talent in mind? And I'm just going to get real specific with this. Can you give me ideas for how I can create a business that uses my passion of programming in, we'll just say Python, which is the programming language, something like that. Can you give me ideas for how I can create a business that uses my passion of programming in Python? And then boom, develop software products using Python, creating tools for certain business or industry, consulting or services, Python-based, create and sell online courses, something that we do in the mastery community, such as machine learning or web development, offer as a service, looking for a software developer with your expertise, create a startup, main technology is Python, in the areas such as financial tech, health tech, Internet of Things, e-commerce, and more. Automation tools, use automation tools, create automation tools, create a blog or podcast, share your knowledge experience by creating a blog podcast. So right out of the gate, 7 sound ideas. And I hope you're kind of sensing where this can go. And I just want to make sure as we think about this through the lens of mission that we could take these ideas, if we were a thought leader in the space and we love programming in Python, and start to share this and then help other people recognize, hey, if you need anything done that's automating or anything that's done in Python that you may have lost your programmer or you need some help with that, I'm your guy or girl. Does that make sense? So this is just one aspect of what happens through the lens of this. This is where I want to introduce the idea. So often people will be, especially if you're on the front end of an entrepreneurial journey, they'll be like, hey, have you ever read the book E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber? And I always use that book because that was one of my very first books that I read that got me masterful in the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. So you can ask ChatGPT, could you summarize E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber? And next thing you know, lickety-split, it goes through and magically does its work, digs deep into its language model. E-Myth Revisited is a book written by Michael Gerber that aims to help small business understand the common misconceptions about entrepreneurship and how to overcome them. The book explains that many small business owners fall into the trap of working in their business instead of working on their business. Gerber argues that business owners most small business owners have a clear plan. They don't understand between an entrepreneur, a manager, and technician. Book explains business owners should be more focused on working on their business, working in it, encourages them to create a business plan, understand the importance of managing their business, create systems and processes to make their business more efficient. This summation is insanely on point as far as the way this book works. So we might ask it, summarize your review of E-Myth, which it kind of did at the end, but we'll have it do it anyway. Revisited. And I'm a bulleted guy, so I'm going to say again, as we did earlier, summarize and bullet point your review of E-Myth Revisited. We'll let it finish. I think it's done. Yeah. Okay. So there it goes. Bulleted review. So I've got, and this will be a challenge for you, is to think about books that you are thinking of reading, but just have ChatGPT run you through a summary and say, okay, maybe that'll work. The other thing that I do as a side note to that is I download the first chapter. Usually it's the free sample in the Kindle, and it's usually the first chapter. Sometimes it's not the entire chapter, but it lets you download it into your Kindle app, or you can read it on the web, and then you can see if that book feels right for you before you would actually buy it or get it from the library or whatever that would be. Jeez, oh Pete, this is amazing. So this is a big aspect of leveraging ChatGPT for business, right? If we're trying to discover a new area, if we're trying to go in and really wrap our mind around the next step for us, option creation through the lens of that. So next up, let's get into contribution. And we'll talk about volunteer opportunities. So let's just say, can you share with me ideas for volunteering in Southwest Florida? Keep in mind, that's where I live, is Southwest Florida. Naples, Fort Myers, Sanibel, Captiva, Cape Coral, Bonita Springs, those kind of things. Environmental conservation, preserving the beauty of Southwest Florida, so it understands that we have beaches, beach cleanups, tree planting, wildlife conservation, homeless shelters and food banks, senior centers, animal rescue, literacy and education, volunteer to mentor at local schools, hospitals and healthcare, cultural and arts, and we've got quite a few organizations through that lens, disaster relief, especially in line of natural disasters like Hurricane Ian, these kind of things. So hitting the notes here as well. And I just want to make sure that you're sensing through this particular prompt that it understands geography. I don't know if you noticed, and I don't even know if I showed it at the front of the screen, but it has knowledge up to 2021 and limited knowledge beyond 2021. So it doesn't probably know about Hurricane Ian, but it does know about hurricanes, because Hurricane Ian happened in September of 2022. Does that make sense? So what we really want to make sure of is that we're being real with what its sort of library of knowledge is, and its timeline of knowledge as well. But the cool part about this prompt and the prompt previous is that it started to show localized knowledge. Atlanta, showed Southwest Florida, and understood we've got beaches and so forth. Cool? So let's go into the spirit piece. And one of the books that I really enjoyed that helped me really connect to something bigger, like a source, connect to the universe. Sometimes it's through religion, but one of the books that really helped me understand ancient wisdom, we'll call it, was the Four Agreements. So let's just say that I hadn't heard of the Four Agreements, and somebody said, if you really want to read a great book that'll help you kind of connect to the essence of humanity and to something bigger, or to connect to the magic of life, the Four Agreements is a great book. So tell me about the Four Agreements. And now it'll go through and give us a little bit. The Four Agreements is a self-help book written by Don Miguel Ruiz. The book presents four agreements that the author just keeps individuals and can help individuals and achieve personal freedom and experience greater levels of happiness in their lives. So again, it's kind of a book summary, but immediately, without having to go anywhere, we're getting the summary, and it's telling us the Four Agreements. So ChatGPT is great for frameworks. It's great for books that, especially self-help books that have frameworks in them. It's great for giving you the goods with it. And then you can have it dig deeper into one of the pieces. The book also covers the concept of domestication, which refers to the process by which individuals learn to conform to societal expectations and beliefs. and the negative impact this can have on personal freedom and fulfillment. So, wow, that was awesome. Tell me more about the second agreement. Let's see what it says to that. So it's understanding the context and the thread. This is kind of what I wanted to make sure I demonstrated for you with this example. This agreement encourages individuals to understand nothing others do or say is a reflection of themselves, but rather a reflection of their own reality and their own perceptions. So, yeah. This is very helpful, especially if you have college students or high school students who are doing research and they need more articulation and depth around a particular topic in a particular book. This would be a very helpful way to sort of work through that. I hope this is helping. How are you feeling about this? Are you scared a little bit about what's going on here? I haven't even showed you the way that this can be automated for process in business. And we'll be talking about that in our next training session. So we'll do a couple more prompts and then we'll wrap up. But I just really want to make sure you're sensing where tech is today. Incredibly powerful. And it does know mentors. You saw some of the quotes that I had. It does know books. It does understand menus. It does understand creating grocery lists. So we'll do a couple more prompts. Next one is finances. Can you tell me how to live a financially... Let's do this. How to live with a financially wise mindset. We'll see what it says there. Here are a few tips on how to live with a financially wise mindset. Set financial goals. Specific, measurable, achievable. Saving for a down payment on a house. Create a budget. Takes into your account income and expenses. Live below your means. Like, on point. I hope one of my drives for this training today is that I really hope, outside of the advice it's sharing, is that we're using these as checklists to double check ourselves on. Be mindful of your spending, avoid unnecessary debt, invest in yourself. Which if you're in our master community, you're doing. Be patient and persistent. It takes time. Through the lens of being a thought leader. This itself could be simply copied and pasted into a ebook, put behind we'll do this as a little test, even though this is more a business thing. Put behind a email opt-in, and then have great language written. Can you create opt-in page language for the financial information you just shared? Sure. Here's an example opt-in page language for the financial information. Are you ready to take control of your finances and achieve your financial goals? Sign up for our exclusive Financial Wisdom newsletter and receive valuable tips. Budgeting, saving, living below your means. Each week you'll receive... All right, I'm going to share one more with you, and this is something we'll be diving even deeper in our business work. It just wrote your opt-in page for you. Isn't that insane? So the one other thing I'm going to share is, can you create 5 titles for the opt-in page? I hope you sense where this is going. The magic of artificial intelligence. Again, it goes back to this ethics and morality of, it isn't something that I created, but is it advice that can really move things forward for people? So you may or may not copy and paste this. You may make it your own, add your own value to it, but this does the heavy lifting for you. This can do the heavy lifting to overcome any lack of knowledge around the idea of creating opt-ins that are attention grabbing and emotionally benefit driven. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to make sure I shared that with you. That's through the lens of financing, through the lens of learning. If you're going to learn anything, it's like, can you direct me on how to play my guitar? because I want to get more masterful in playing guitar. So we gave it a pretty generic prompt and we'll let it do its thing. But what specifically we can ask it is what's the fastest way for me to learn Sweet Child of Mine? The guitar solo in Sweet Child of Mine. So I'm going to get that prompt ready. What's the fastest way for me to learn the guitar solo in Sweet Child of Mine? And we'll see what it does with that. It's combing through a ton of data for the guitar piece, I'm imagining. So good. Oh, it's amazing. Well, for the sake of time, let's just prompt it with this and see if we can. So it's doing the basic steps for playing your guitar. Get familiar with the parts, including the neck, the head. Already it's inspiring us to know the different parts and sharing with us what those parts are. Tune the guitar. Make sure your guitar is in tune before you begin playing. Use an electronic tuner or tune it by ear using a reference note from a piano or another guitar. Hold the guitar correctly. It's kind of briefing you on that. So I'm going to go ahead and have it stop generating. And then I'm going to give it this prompt. Whoop. So listen to the song, get the idea of the melody and the rhythm and the timing. Break it down into smaller parts, phrases or licks. Learn the chords and basic structure of the solo. Pay attention to the melody and rhythm. Watch the video tutorials. So just giving you ideas on stepping into this learning aspect. Sometimes we call that hobbies. The idea of really going deep on something and having ChatGPT go for that. The final area that I wanted to make sure that we covered was this idea of experiences. And what I really want to make sure I shared with you is, can you share with me 5 great places to hike around the world? There we go. And if you try to get into ChatGPT, sometimes they'll say it's too busy. And I think we just witnessed some of that action. But here you go. The Inca Trail in Peru, the hot route in Switzerland and France. Oh, so good. The Overland Track, Australia. Hopefully with everything we've covered, we've kickstarted the fuel for you for ChatGPT. Again, it's text, so it's a little overloaded, as we saw. But the ideas are endless. And we'll be diving deep on specific case studies where you can replace having people do the work. You've already seen some examples of that as we step into our work in our business internet mastery aspect. And boy, is this hitting the notes for that. So that all said, what I'd like to do is go through a quick action list for you. Inside of what we did cover today, go back through, and I'll try to get this entire chat log as a PDF in our replay. Go back through our work and think about the frameworks it developed and rate yourself in those areas to see where you can enhance your life. There's a 2-part sort of process to today. One is let's give it a bunch of prompts, see what it generates. And 2 is let's listen and look into the prompts and see how we're doing. And that's that aspect of it. Second, I would challenge you to step in and use ChatGPT in your life to create options. Like you can go into, if you're going to London, for example, give me the top 10 places that have great food or great drinks or great experiences. Could be like visiting Buckingham Palace if it's open during the time of the year that you're going to be there. Going to St. James Park. Going to Harry Potter Studios north of London. These kind of things. And really give it time to sort of flesh out what you and your family may be wanting to do, right? So these are just some ideas. Again, the summation of everything we covered today is very clear. We're leveraging a chat GPT, artificial intelligence languaging model to really help us generate options. The way we used it today was working through these beautiful life arenas to really create more options and outcomes, more behavioral rhythms. In some cases, it was showing us things to buy, exercises to do, these kind of things. Help with our psychology, our feelings, gave us prompts for that. So I hope with everything we covered today, you're seeing the power and you're feeling the effect of exactly what the power is of ChatGPT, but also the power of doing these things to help you feel, be, and do your very best. That being said, thank you so incredibly much for being part of this journey. This is more of a workshop kind of journey that we had today. And then in our Business Internet Mastery Training, we're going to dive deep into workflows and how we can leverage ChatGPT and other forms of AI to help us create, build, and sustain process for social media, for opt-ins, for email marketing, for all these things. So thank you so much. I'll see you in a while. Take care. And you rock. We crushed it. So good.